All right, all right. It looks like we are currently live. It is 6 o'clock exactly, Central Standard Time. We are going to allow approximately 2 minutes for folks to sign on or to log in or to get on the stream with us. If you're looking for the folks who are outraged about the attempted Capitol coup, you found them. We're right here. Um, and if you're looking for the folks who intend to hold elected officials accountable, you've certainly found them right here. So let's allow for another minute, just another minute. Some more folks get in the room. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. My name is Justice Gatson, and I am the founder of Real Justice Network. I'm an organizer in Kansas City. I call myself a social justice doula. I am a labor, birth, and postpartum doula as well. Um, I do a lot of work in our state and in our city, and I'm really pissed off, honestly. I think you all are as pissed off as I am, and so come on, pissed off folks, keep on joining the stream. Um, let's build some power with this anger that we have. Um, there are lots of things that we can do to channel our anger to build up the power we need to run progressive candidates, to change that poorly, disgusting looking state legislature that we have into something that actually is going to work for the people. So come through, come through, come through. We're ready for this. We've been ready for it. All right, couple minutes after. And let me go ahead and tell you who is on with us. Um, you know what? I won't tell. I will let people tell who they are. Why don't we start with you, Ashley? Ashley, if you could unmute yourself and just tell folks who you are.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. Um, I use she, her pronouns. Um, I am a leader and a community organizer here in Kansas City, Missouri. Um, I am with several dope organizations. One with Real Justice Network, and then also with Casey Tenants. Um, and I'm here today to talk about it, shed light. There's not too much of light to be shed on it because it's there, it's in your face. But I'm just here to speak my truth about it and grab my pen and pad and let's bring the crisis to the creator because this can't happen again. This is an act of treason, and this is blatant terrorism, and it can't happen again. So I'm gonna throw it to Amy.
Thanks, Ashley. My name is Amy Ramirez. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the new hub coordinator of Sunrise, Kansas City. And I'm here to get to work because we have to do something about this. We just can't let this moment pass on, and we need to fight back. And so that's what I'm here ready to do, to build power with all of you. So thank you so much for joining the call. And I'll pass it on to Michael.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Wolf. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an organizer with Sunrise Movement Kansas City. Completely agree with what everyone's saying. The Republican Party made this mess. They must be held accountable. We have to make sure that our Democratic reps in Congress also hold them accountable. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. And I'm going to pass it over to Sarah Campbell.
Thanks, Michael. Sarah Campbell, I use she, her pronouns. I'm a community organizer, mostly with the Kansas City Veterans for Peace chapter. We're not just about anti-war, we're about peace abroad and peace at home. And this is, we have homegrown terrorism going on, sanctioned by the president and several of our legislators, and that's sedition. Anyway, we've got to mobilize to stamp this out. And I'll pass it on to Ak.
Hello, all. I'm Ak, representing Real Justice Network, and I am the president of the local chapter of Kansas City National Lawyers Guild. And I'm basically here because I would like to discuss this amusing, but yet amusing. I don't know. I'm lost for words with it.
I got your word, Ak, and it's shit show. You know, it's a shit show.
But my word was more vile than that. But okay, we'll go with that. Okay, this is but yeah, I'll go with that. I'm just kind of tongue tied right now because it's so many thoughts in my head about this. These last events that we've seen coming, but it's fun. It's just weird when you see it unravel.
Thank you for the introductions, and I want to just step back just for a moment, just gives ourselves just a moment to just breathe, just for a moment. You know, taking those deep breaths in, holding it a bit, and releasing. It's really important. This weighs on the spirit. And, you know, when this happened, I immediately started checking in with organizers around the state, started checking in with my friends. And, you know, I heard the same thing over and over again from Black organizers in particularly. So, first of all, let me just say that this is a heightened time of violence for the Black and Brown community, for Black and Brown folks, for people of color. And so, although it may feel like we should be out in the streets and mass mobilizing, even though it shouldn't because we're in the middle of a damn pandemic, it is a heightened time of violence for our folks. And so there are some things that we're asking people to do. And I'll talk a little bit about that later, but I want to clearly get that out in the beginning, because sometimes if you're a person of privilege, you may not think about that, right? You're ready to get out there and you're ready to, but we want you to make sure that you're listening to folks of color, people who have been in the streets, people who do this work and engage in this work, and people whose damn lives are tied to the end of this. It's life and death for a lot of us. And so thank you so much for showing up. And let's get right to that piece. Because as Ak mentioned, he is the president of the National Lawyers Guild in the Kansas City chapter. I happen to run the Midwest region for National Lawyers Guild, and I direct the Legal Observer program in the for Kansas City for the National Lawyers Guild and ACLU. And so I have seen police response at protests. I've been there. My legal observers have brought back evidence so that the organization that I work for, ACLU, can file cases in court. We did this in St. Louis. We're doing this in Kansas City because of the protests that happened over the summer with George Floyd, and the response, the elevated over the top response that Black and Brown folks met compared to the welcoming that folks receive And I don't call them protesters. They are rioters, they are thugs, they are everything that Black folks were called when we weren't. They are all of that. To go and take over, to act as if something was taken and stolen from them. And so this was all fed by folks in our state like Josh Hawley, who has the nerve to misrepresent and to act as if the elections had been fraudulent. It burns also in another way to Black and brown organizers who worked our asses off, and particularly to our comrades in Georgia who thank you, Georgia, thank you, Black women, thank you for always saving freaking humanity. My white sisters, we got to talk because, see, more of y'all voted for Trump this time than you did last time. And you want to put a wall around us and say, no, we got, I'm going really back. And I want I want our panelists to come in and join in this conversation about that response. Mike, can you go ahead and jump in there?
Yeah. I think this is an atrocious moment that is entirely, like Ak was saying earlier, was entirely predictable. The response of the Capitol Police, in particular, like they were at some points they were guiding the protesters around where to go inside the Capitol. They were taking selfies with sorry, not protesters, with the insurrectors, with these violent thugs. And yeah, it brings to mind like Sunrise in particular. We're a movement of young people, and we did sit-ins at the Capitol back in 2018, just after the midterms, and there were more arrests. There were more arrests for young people peacefully protesting, not holding any weapons, carrying handmade signs on tiny little envelopes. There were more arrests for young people peacefully calling attention to the climate crisis than there were for neo-Nazis and white nationalists to like come in and try and overturn democracy. And that's insane. And where it's going is not looking good. We're calling these people terrorists, and actually what we're seeing is like, you see people like President-elect Biden, calling for an expansion of the terrorist, like the tools that we use to deal with terrorism. And this is like the opposite. Like, this is a case for actually defunding and abolishing the police because of their behavior and how they handled this situation here.
Oh my God, this is so the case for defunding police and abolishing them. Sarah, you being ex-military,
Justice froze. I'm going to guess what she's going to ask me to talk about. So we know that it's very common for police to be former military. Our police more and more are being trained by Israeli Mossad or military using their tactics. With, for example, like the knee and the neck.
Justice, I think we lost Sarah.
Oh,
For me, everyone's screen is shuffling. We're sorry, everyone. We're having technical difficulties. Sister Justice, we see your lips moving, but you don't hear you.
can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Well, so I'm going to apologize profusely to you all. We are in this virtual world, and it does what it wants sometimes. You all were very scrambly and frozen to me, and I couldn't do anything. So my apologies, my deepest, sincerest apologies for the issues with the tech. Please don't hold that against us. We are really passionate about this work and about holding our elected folks accountable and responsible. Let me make sure that I get people back into the stream. Let me get Sarah back in. Let me get Mike back in. Okay, it looks like Ak is out too. Let me get everybody back in. All right, welcome family, welcome back. My apologies, my apologies. Sarah, I heard you talking about the Capitol Police a bit, and then that's it.
Okay. So I just want people to be aware that the police departments have been for many years, have been infiltrated by these militias and hate groups. So there is a lot of collusion that goes on between those groups and the law enforcement agencies. We don't know, who, as civilians, we don't know who the members are of those law enforcement agencies that are infiltrated. It puts us doubly at risk when we have events and actions, because you don't know who to trust. You're supposed to, in theory, be able to trust the police to keep you from harm from extreme actors. But these insurrectionists, these Trumpers, they're like rabid dogs. They have volatile tempers. My main point is I want people to use extreme caution when they deal with these people. Um, just, imagine like a temper tantrum, and how people are just completely irrational when they're having these temper tantrums, like a little child in a temper tantrum, right? And unfortunately, because they're adults and often they have weapons, they are extreme. They can be extremely dangerous, and just please use extreme caution. And if you can get to de-escalation training or any of the trainings that might be mentioned in this broadcast, please do so and share the word about them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. I want to kind of let's just start laying out the case for Hawley right now. Let's start laying it out because there are some people who are saying, well, all he tried to do was just make sure that the process was fair. Well, you all know that the Trump administration has heard from over 60 judges that there was no fraud, nothing, nothing. But folks like Hawley, Cruz, and others continue to carry Trump's poisonous water, poisoning the well of democracy, poisoning what people think, poisoning their faith in the system, right? And so we saw that time and time and time again. And then for Hawley in particular, the person that was going to go in and cause the disruption. Look, I'm an organizer. I know all about disruptions, okay? And what happened outside the Capitol was an extension of what happened right there in there with Hawley. So the fist pump to your comrades as you go in to do your part of the dirty work. That's what happened. That is what happened. Furthermore, when other folks begin to see the violence, right? Even you got folks like Lindsey Graham, you got other folks walking stuff back. You even have Loeffler from Georgia saying, I fully intended to come and voice my dissent, but because of what happened today, I can't in good faith do that. So all these voices around dear old Josh Hawley, and he decides, you know what? I'm going to keep carrying that poison water. I'm going to keep poisoning the well. I'm going to go in here and make a damn fool of myself and do this. And he did it. He did it. He doubled down on it. He continued with it. As a matter of fact, we haven't heard anything to the contrary yet. No apologies. What we've heard is a bunch of victim blaming. Victim. I'm the victim. I got my book deal taken. I'm the victim. They don't understand. I'm the victim. Who wants to address that? Amy, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say, losing your privilege is not the same as being oppressed. And when other people are given similar privilege to you, that doesn't mean you lose yours. It's not a pie where there's a limited number of pieces.
And this goes to what Black and brown folks talk about a lot. We talk about how we learn the game, we play the game, we're successful at the game, and then somebody moves the goalpost. Somebody changes the rules. Somebody tries to have it a different way. And for the other folks, we could talk, but there are lots of people who contributed to this. It wasn't just Hawley, even though we're going for his ass, because he represents the show me state. So we need to show him how we want to be represented. People in this state, we don't agree. We don't agree. We do not agree. I want to take it to, another other things. When Senator Blunt comes out against you, you're in trouble. You know that. This is a man we couldn't find for a whole season. We had to put him on a milk carton. And he's talking about, Josh Hawley is wrong. Even the man who funded Josh Hawley's career has come out against him. What is going on? Why do people try to wash their hands and cleanse themselves of the monsters they create? Ashley, go ahead. I see. I see you. Go ahead.
I need some water. I need some water.
You know what?
They
I want to say
try.
something. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say real quick, like, of course now they wash their hands. When you see someone has blood on their hands, they want to go ahead and get the evidence, the DNA off their hands, so they won't be held in court.
You know,
Also, first thing I want to say is that's not us.
that's the first thing. That's not us. That's what
not
Joe
us.
Biden said.
That's not who we are.
That's what Joe Biden said. I disagree. I think what we saw the other day was very much America. Very much. Very much America. And those are some of the facts that we're going to have to face if we really want to build progressive movements. Our progressive friends and comrades have got to stop ignoring the truth about what happens to Black and brown folks in this country and our very real lived experiences. The two Americas that we talk about, the one in which these thugs can go in and take over and be welcome to take over and lay up in Nancy Pelosi's office and kick up their feet and go rummaging through. It would have never happened to any of the protests I've ever been in when we were just calling for, please don't kill Black people. And people with some perceived loss hadn't lost a damn thing, going in with all of their racist privilege and tearing up and letting in, being let in. I would love for some of those folks who want to give folks the benefit of doubt. Well, maybe this wasn't right. Did you consider maybe the killing of Breonna Taylor wasn't right? Did you give it that much thought? Did you give it that much No. These folks won't even fight for us to get it, for folks to get a $2,000 stimulus check in the middle of a pandemic in which people have lost houses, jobs, and all kinds of stuff. But they're willing to fight to say that the election was fraudulent. And just because of integrity, oh my gosh, because of the integrity we have to preserve for America. No, it's bullshit. It's a bunch of screaming children who want their way, and they're used to getting it. And Black and brown communities organized and fought hard and won them and beat them at their own game, and you can't take it. So I want us to talk about, we ramp, and there's more. Oh my gosh, there's more. Like we could go on. There's more. But I want to kind of bring us in, bring us into refocus on some things that are really important, because I just mentioned we are in the middle of a pandemic that has disproportionately affected Black and brown communities. We are in the middle of a time in which our government, no thank you, Governor. No, thank you, Governor. No, thank you, Governor. No. Don't care about if people are being put out in the streets. It is a hard time. So I want us to make sure, and Ashley, I'm going to let you speak again, because we're going to have to start shifting and placing our priorities. Our priorities to take care of people. There are working families who can't afford to freaking eat. So Ashley, I want you to go ahead and talk about a few of the things that you've been doing, and then we're going to talk about the accountability that's to come for Josh Hawley. So go ahead, please, Ashley.
Yes, everyone, give me a thumbs up, because it's really a delay for me. Okay, I picked up. Yes. Um, Organizing for the housing here in Kansas City has been really eye-opening and awakening. Even before the pandemic, it was already an epidemic on the housing crisis, you know, and what this pandemic has done is really shed a light on the disparities, on the that blind eye that our city halls and all of our elected official has put on the housing, and only people that are this really affected is the working class, the unhoused, and it's really detrimental. It's it's making organizations, like ours. I'm going to go ahead and say ours for the KC tenants. Um, it makes it even for our leaders and our organizers. It gives us that push. It gives us that much more of a fight in this battle that we was already doing before, and getting into play. And that's what we come when we come to everyone that's on this call, and not to make aware that this work is not only for this month. Right now, organization we have called Zero Eviction January, and just for the whole month of January, we have daily actions to make aware to the community that we this fight is ongoing. This fight is here, and we're here to bring all of it to the forefront. As we say, bring the crisis to the creator, and we just have to give these elected officials, these people that we vote for, we have to get them accountable. And I'm going to go ahead. Is it too early to go ahead and speak? Because we are a little early.
Go ahead.
But
You can go.
okay, I'm gonna see if I can try to drop the link into the chat. Um, but y'all all know that our lovely Corey Bush, and then all the work that was done in Georgia, and Georgia got flipped all over, and it was a beautiful thing. And if I'm doing it correctly, I'm gonna here in the Facebook chat. There's gonna be a link, and um, the campaign for Corey Bush is basically stating is to just hold our officials accountable, hold them accountable, and the Republican members of Congress who have, these are, as we said, this is just blatant domestic terrorist attack. Um, and their attempts was just clearly to overturn when they got the results, when they got the ending results, it was just clear to just overturn it. And they had just broken their oath. They took in and what they said that they got voted in to do. And so if you can see this in the chat, we would like for you to add your name right under Representative Corey Bush's her bills is to investigate and to expel these members of Congress. And so it'll be up in here in a hot second. And just go ahead and fill your name, last name, email, and add your name onto this investigation, because we need to get this. We need to get these individuals out of office. We need to have. He needs to be resigned yesterday. Back to you, Sister Justice.
Thank you, Ashley. We make no apologies for the babies in the background. If y'all don't know, this is how Black women organize. We be working late. Babe, we have to feed a baby. Somebody might be breastfeeding. Somebody might look, it happens. The babies have been a part of the movement since So we make no apologies for the babies in the back. Um, what I do want to add to the accountability part, not only are we asking you all to support Cori Bush's efforts, and hell, support Cori Bush, okay? Cori is fighting for Missouri, unlike Josh Hawley. So support Cori. Um, Also, we want to make sure that you sign the petition for the resignation. So we will add fresh links to the chat after we conclude tonight. But make sure, the last I checked, we had reached our 50,000 goal. And so we have increased that to try to get to 75,000 signatures. So in a few days, over 50,000 Missourians were like, hell no, we don't agree to this. This is not what we want. And right, this ain't us. This is not how we want Missouri to be represented. Also, when we talk about accountability, it's really, really important that you're making sure, and I know it's hard sometimes, that you're actually being led by Black-led organizations, that you pay attention to Black and brown folks, those who are most marginalized. Um, if you're wondering if that's a good strategy, look at Georgia. And you don't even just have to look at Georgia. Look at the last few elections and look how Black women have organized and come through. Doing this work with integrity is really a part of the value set that we work with. So you gotta support Black-led organizations if you truly want a progressive Missouri. So M4BL, Movement for Black Lives, which comprises of over 150 plus Black-led organizations, some in Missouri, lots of them throughout the country. And so let me tell you the things that we are demanding and that we're asking for. We are asking that the certification of the president, we got that. So we got the certification. But we're also asking that each member of Congress must not only condemn the acts of Donald J. Trump, they must call for an immediate impeachment. The Senate must convict and remove him from office immediately. The other call is that expel each member of Congress who has fanned the flames of white supremacist violence and has participated in the effort to stop the certification of the Electoral College. Also, elected officials, both at the federal and state level, must publicly renounce this white supremacist attempted coup, as well as the accompanying attempts to retroactively disenfranchise the votes of millions by overturning the democratic results of this election. And finally, to abolish the Electoral College. So, progressive, moving in the direction that we need, an inclusive movement, building power, making sure people get what they need. That's what you want to do. I'm going to let Mike, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. I think all of those demands are fantastic. Not that they need my approval, but they are the correct demands. And I think what we're talking about when we're talking about accountability for people like Josh Hawley is that, Cori Bush's resolution is really, really important here. Like, impeaching Trump is not enough. The worst thing that we can do right now is to say this was all Trump and that was it. This was the Republican Party. And I don't believe that the folks who, I don't believe that the literal like Nazis that stormed the Capitol deserve like sympathy. But I think we need to understand why those people believe in conspiracy theories in the first place. And that is from a total lack of investment and policies that give people, the things they need to survive. Like Justice was talking about earlier with the 2K stimulus checks, like Ashley was talking about, with housing. And what we really need what we really need right now is a third Reconstruction. We need the Democrats to do what Germany did after World War II, which was explicitly condemn white supremacy, relegate all Nazi symbols, paraphernalia, everything to a museum where people could be educated about it. We didn't do that here after the end of the Civil War. We never fully did that, and we need to do that now because you had people marching into the Capitol carrying Confederate flags, and that's not right. You know, like we shouldn't be having that, and we need to make sure that our Democratic representatives are doing the work of holding the Republicans accountable, because there's no path forward for the Republican Party that doesn't involve white supremacist fascism, like plain and simple. So they need to expel these members of Congress. They need to support Cori Bush's resolution. And then they need to deliver for working class people around the country. They need to take action on climate change. They need to guarantee homes. They need to guarantee health care for everyone in the middle of a pandemic. They need to give us our 2K stimulus checks. They need to do all of it. And, you know, folks like Representative Cleaver and Representative Davids are not those champions right now. You know, they may want to impeach Trump, which is good. We need to impeach Trump so that he can't run for office again. But they don't want to hold their Republican colleagues accountable. And they buy into this bipartisan consensus that, you know, there's no compromising with the Republican Party. So we need them to stop holding up this idea that these folks can be worked with if they're going to endorse fascism. So, and Amy, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, just a couple things. I agree completely that, I mean, our Congress people that we vote for that are supposed to be here to serve us, not only have they failed to appropriately condemn and overpower this horrendous, dangerous president, but they've forgiven and worked with his enablers. So we cannot expect our Congress people to work with senators like Josh Hawley, and we shouldn't even allow it, which is why his expulsion is absolutely necessary. And I fully support Representative Bush's resolution to remove representatives who enable the insurrection, and hope that a senator follows suit and expects the same from the Senate, because to allow Josh Hawley to continue in his role would be giving white supremacy another free pass. And not only is this an embarrassment for our country, but it's goddamn shameful to let a terrorist attack of this sort go unpunished. So we need to do the work. We need to pressure, of course, Cleaver and Davis and anyone else who has power in this state, because I don't want to be on the news again for a person like Hawley and misrepresenting Missouri in this way.
And, you know, I'm looking at the chat and kind of paying, you know, they're looking at the chat. I'll say there's a lot of education that needs to happen in regards to, you know, these issues. You know, there's been issues between speech and what's constitutionally protected, and you know, some people's speech rises to the level of violence that actually kills Black and brown bodies. So if it's something like that that's going to kill Black and brown bodies, I don't care what it is, we need to get rid of that. That's a whole nother thing. You know, I want to bring something up that I think is critically important. We talk about Republicans and Democrats, but you know, I really want us to think beyond, and I know you all do, beyond this two-party system that's here. We act as if these are our only choices, and we can create some choices for ourselves. As a matter of fact, there's been movements happening, you all know, with working families parties that have been really instrumental in the past election. I worked with Frontline with doing some election defender work this past election season. Why? Because folks like Josh Hawley and Trump fan the flames of racism and embolden people to be violent at polls. So we had to make sure we had folks out there who were able to help mitigate and walk down anything that could have happened. And I say that because I really want us to start thinking about, does the Republican Party, do they have the answers for working people? Does the Democratic Party, do they have the answers for working people? And so, we really have to start looking and thinking critically. I know some people get mad about that. I don't care. Y'all know I don't give a damn. What I'm interested in is what is actually and what does actually work for people. So if anybody wants to give a comment or two about the two-party system and how that kind of boxes us in, I'd be happy to hear it. And then we'll move on to next steps.
Justice, and I was going to say this, and I've seen it in the chat also. Ranked choice voting, if you're not familiar with it, is a different way of doing a ballot that takes away a lot of the power of the two-party system. And it allows you to list your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. If no candidate gets a majority of the votes, then they drop off one or more of the lower candidates, and then they retabulate until they have a winner. So it's more democratic, and surveys that have been done the last few years at polling places that give people a chance to try out what a ranked choice voting ballot looks like have been very open and to wanting to change to that system. And also, as long as we have, the Electoral College and some of these other programs, that the two-party system isn't going anywhere. So we've got to do these other measures that negates their total power over our political system.
The other thing I would add to the conversation that I think our Democratic reps should be aware of, and a lot of people who strongly support the Democratic Party should be aware of, is, a lot of people who vote for Democrats don't do it because they like Democrats. They do it because they hate Republicans. And that was very much true with Joe Biden. A vote for Joe Biden was really a vote against Trump and not a vote for Joe Biden. And the same is true of my vote for Barbara Bollier when I was living in Kansas, and a lot of other Democratic reps down the ballot. And I think we need to continue to question, like Justice was saying, we need to continue to question these Democrats, and we need to make sure that they are delivering for people. And I'm fucking tired of hearing Democrats say that they believe in science and do nothing about climate change, that they care about working people. And think about how much of a lift it was to get them to send just $600. They weren't even going to do it until Bernie Sanders forced the issue, and even Bernie's not perfect, but I am so tired of Democrats using Republicans as an excuse to not do things. And that is one of the things we need to be vigilant about, especially now that they have control of all three branches of government. And in the next 2 years, if they don't do that, if they don't deliver, Josh Hawley flat out voted to overturn the election right after all the violence happened. So there's no reason to think that he won't run in 2024 and that he won't have a base that is primed to vote for him. So if Democrats don't deliver right now, they're going to lose their majorities in 2022, and they will lose the presidency in 2024 to someone who is like Trump, but actually smart. and disciplined and knows what to do. And we all need to be very vigilant and working together to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Which brings us to our next and final phase. I thank you. That was a great segue, which is what next steps, like why it's important to stay engaged in this political process. You know, every year, I can tell you, every year in January, the Missouri legislature opens up, right? And a couple weeks before then, bills start coming through, start being filed by our elected officials, those who we voted for. And there are all the potential for what could be a new law in our state. And if we're not paying attention every single year, every single time to every single election, there could be the potential for the continual chipping away of our rights. It is a fragile state. It is a fragile state. So I'm telling you that if you don't pay attention, if you just blink your eyes sometimes, that's enough time for folks to come in who don't have the right intentions for our state and for the people in our state. There are people who only are concerned about their personal wealth and power and things like that. And we are trying to make sure that every person in our state is fully, 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 fully supported, whether it's through education, whether it's through health. We're making sure people can actually afford the affordable, safe, clean home. Fighting for freaking crumbs. And so I want other people to kind of chime in because you all know why it's important. Does anybody have anything to offer to that before we actually start giving out some organizations that we think you should be connected to?
I just want to say real quick that we are satisfied with these small progressions that we're making. So, you know, if the state gets Medicaid expansion, we're happy with that until it's time to put more pressure on. I don't want Medicaid, right? I want the health insurance that senators have. All right. I want to have a life that, you know, that they're able to afford their children and their families. Like, I want us to be able to have that. And I think we lose sight of what is actually attainable within our lifetime. And we settle, like Justice was saying, for crumbs. So I think every legislative session, you get to be ambitious as you want to be. Go to the committee meetings, make sure that the bills that you want are actually going to be seen by a committee and pass committee and get to the floor and advocate for those bills. That's just something that you can do. In 2017, Kansas People's Agenda gathered in the state capitol. We were able to push 15 different issues, and eventually we mobilized enough people to get Laura Kelly elected versus one of the most radical politicians that has surfaced as Secretary of State in the U.S. So it's possible. Show up to your legislative sessions and don't give up.
Thank you, Ash. Well said. Anybody else to offer on the importance of staying engaged, using this moment, building the power? Don't sleep. I'm gonna tell y'all, we don't sleep. Like us, the people you see on the call, we don't sleep. We continue to work because we know how important it is. We're not saying don't get rest, because my goodness, you can't pour from an empty cup. But we need you to join into the fight to light my load a little bit, lighten Mike's load a little bit, lighten Sarah's load a little bit, sharing in the labor of this work for this collective liberation is really, really important. So organizations that you definitely need to be, especially if you're in Kansas City, connected with and doing work with, Real Justice Network, we would love to have you. Please check out our website, and connect with us. ACLU of Missouri. I'm an organizer for ACLU. We got a great team at the ACLU of Missouri. Now, I can't say that for every ACLU affiliate, but I can talk about the Missouri affiliate. And you all know me. If I see something, I'm gonna hold folks accountable. And so I'm excited about the work and our approach to the work at the ACLU. We testify on those bills. We do public educations and training. Please, please, please sign up and become a volunteer. Um, Operation Liberation, Real Justice Network. We started the first Black-led bail fund in Kansas City. Then come our comrades, Operation Liberation, and they've been doing some awesome work. Make sure you support them. They're doing mutual aid work too. Um, Sarah, I'm going to let you talk about Veterans for Peace, and Mike, I'm going to let you talk about Sunrise real quick, and then throw out a few more that you all know.
So, Veterans for Peace, we're the Kansas City chapter of an international organization. We're currently not meeting in person, just like most groups right now. We have our meetings online every month. Somewhere in the comments, there will be links to all these different groups. But Veterans for Peace, to repeat what I said at the top of the show, we're not just anti-war, we're also anti-violence, and all oppression are forms of violence. We believe in peace abroad as well as peace at home. And all of what we've been talking about tonight prevents us from having any sort of peace at home. Veterans for Peace are involved in every kind of social justice work you can think of. And encourage you, we're not just veterans, we have associate members that are children of veterans or spouses of veterans. If you have, or we even have members that just believe in our cause, that don't have any family members that are veterans. So please reach out, and there will be contact information. And I thank you for the time, Justice, for letting me speak.
So Amy, feel free to chime in here. But Sunrise Movement Kansas City, we're a movement, we're trying to build a movement of young people to stop the climate crisis and create millions of good paying jobs in the process through a Green New Deal. What's included in a Green New Deal? Defunding the police, Medicare for all, actually doing something about climate change, public transportation, like free public transportation, national railroad, investment in frontline communities. These are communities that are hit first and worst by the climate crisis, including communities of color, trans communities, houseless communities, the labor community. We want to ensure a just transition so that, like, when we transition to green energy, that folks can still receive their health care and get jobs training and get something else. In the Green New Deal is a federal jobs guarantee so that everybody who wants a job is guaranteed the opportunity to have one. There's a lot of great stuff in there. And Amy, maybe you can speak more about the specific local stuff we're doing here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that right now is when you should start thinking about 2022. That's what we're doing because, like as Michael said, the Green New Deal includes so many things to help working class people and people of color. And if our politicians and our elected officials aren't going to serve the people, then we need to replace them. So if that is something that you're interested in, or if you know someone who you think would be great for one of these positions, please nominate them, bring them up to us because we would love to get to know them and have someone who will actually serve our community and have the community's interests at heart. And that's who we want in these positions. So if we push Cleaver and Davis and they don't perform to help the people that elected them, then they need to be replaced. So that's what we're working on right now, because we want to make sure that we have that home guarantee, that we get that $2,000 stimulus check, and that we condemn white supremacy, but actually taking action and hopefully getting rid of these politicians who are not serving us whatsoever and are allowing this to happen to our country. So if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out to the Sunrise Movement. We are on all social media platforms, and let us know if we can support you or if you would like to help us out in any way.
Thank you so very much. And don't forget, KC Tenants, what we're going to do, we're going to put lots of links under this chat on the page, so that you have some places to dig into work. And I am in a lot of different spaces. If there's something you need to ask, send a message. I'll answer your question and help get you directed to the right place. But right now the focus is Hawley getting his resignation. We've met the first goal of the 50,000 signatures, on to getting 75,000 more. We're supporting Cori Bush's efforts. We're also uplifting Movement for Black Lives demands. And also, with the last minute that we have, Real Justice Network, we are launching our electoral project. We're going to put information out about that. This is led by Black women in Kansas City who have been doing great work. We've decided we need to come together and be more cohesive in our work. And so you're going to start seeing that from us, and we really need your support. So please support, contribute to us so that we can get that going well and stay connected. The other thing, last final, we got something planned. Can't say it on here, but something's going down this week in regards to these things that we've been talking about. And if you think you might want to be involved in something spectacular, make sure that you just send a private message and we can talk about it. Thank you so much for joining in. This is not it. It can't be it. This is a continuation of building our power in Missouri. So make sure we stay connected to this work. Make sure that we stay connected to each other. And also, I wouldn't be doing this right if I didn't also remind you to take some time out to care for yourself right now. It's okay to step back and then step back in. It's okay to take a breath. It's okay to take a nap. Some of us just need to sleep a little bit. And don't forget to eat and drink water, please. Yes, it's been like that. Some of us haven't been eating or drinking water. So let's make sure that we do that and that we care for ourselves so that we have something to give. All right, you all. So thank you all so much for joining in. We'll be in contact. Power to the people.